Hey, great day, everyone. It's Lavon McMillan, the founder and CEO of Advocate for Me LLC and the host of the Advocate for Me podcast. We are back. Y'all know I like bringing y'all special guests. So here we go. Today we have Jessica Burrus. And again, as always, just like my last guest, we found each other on Instagram, but we also worked at the same place, and guess what, y'all? They still talking about me. They still talking about me. So I'm so excited to have her come on because not only are we, in the trenches and doing what we're doing for our families and helping families, we also kind of follow the same path. So welcome, Jessica, to the Advocate for Me podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Once again, my name is Jessica Burrus. I am the founder and CEO of 4BrightStars, and I really am excited to be here tonight.
Awesome, awesome. So tell the audience, who is Jessica and how many hats do you wear?
Jessica, yes, I have many hats. So Jessica is an autism mommy, first and foremost. I am, as I stated, a CEO of an autism advocacy program. I created it and it stems from my four children who are on the autism spectrum. And my many talents and hats that I carry of traits are I'm a notary, I'm a certified phlebotomist. You mentioned that we were working for the same company. I was in the finance department with Spin. That's the same company that we was working at, y'all.
Yes, yes.
And then currently I am a hearing officer for the city of Philadelphia.
Oh wow! When you said you wear many hats, I was like, "Woo! You got hands in all type of things,
It's
notary."
hands all types of things.
Awesome, awesome. So I know you said first and foremost you are an autism mommy. So just
Yes.
let's because I like the our guests to open up and share their journey because
Mhm.
everyone's journey is different. Just like they say, when you met one person with autism, you met one person with autism. Like it's not the
Yes,
same. You can't just say,
absolutely.
"Oh, I know this person." So just talk about your journey as being an autism mom.
Ooh, okay.
We got time. We got time. If you need
Yes.
some tissue, let me get
So,
you some tissue for it.
thank you. Because as I mentioned, I do have four children. All four of them are on the spectrum. My children's age range is 20, 18, 16, and 8. So, for a lot of parents, I have touched almost every area right now. So, with that, everybody's journey has been different, especially when it came to them getting their diagnosis. My oldest, he got his diagnosis when he was 2.5. Now, let me back up a little bit. When it came to my oldest son, as a mom, I knew that there was something going on. At the time when my son got his diagnosis, the only person that I ever heard speak about autism was Rosie O'Donnell.
Mm,
And actually, during the time that I really started honing in on the milestones that my son was lacking and he wasn't making, was Rosie O'Donnell was on a talk show with Oprah Winfrey. And Rosie O'Donnell stated to Oprah that her son Parker was diagnosed with autism. And Rosie O'Donnell was explaining the things that Parker was doing that made her and her partner at the time looking to talking to the pediatrician about these things. And the pediatrician mentioned it. And I was pointing out the things that my son did. For instance, my son loved spinning the wheels on trucks and cars. My son loves stacking things on top of each other. My son loves his routine. Still to the day, my 20-year-old loves his routine. You cannot deviate from his routine. He knows his schedule, even with his alarm. That alarm sticks to that. If I wake him up early because the schedule has changed, that ruins his whole mood and his day. So that was my process with my son. His diagnosis was a little bit more easier in a sense to get. I didn't have to fight so hard from it. I went to the Center for Autism for him. And it's funny because as a young mother, I had my son when I was 18. And as a young mother, you don't know the things to look for. Yet again, at that time, I never heard of autism before. So I didn't know the things to look for besides me telling the pediatrician, he hasn't reached that yet, or he hasn't done that yet, right? Um, my daughter went with me, my 18-year-old. She went with me because I was a single mom when my son got his evaluation. And in the time period that he got his evaluation, my two oldest were talking to each other but weren't talking. So a lot of parents may know, or a lot of therapists know, when a child is on the spectrum talks, it's a lot of babble, it's a lot of it's a lot of grunting. But if another child is on the spectrum and they allow that engagement, they are actually communicating with one another. Me, I'm just thinking, okay, yeah, they siblings, they talking. It took the psychiatrist to tell me how much they were communicating to each other, my two oldest. And it took the psychiatrist to point out to me that my oldest was on the spectrum. My oldest girl, I didn't know that, one, because what I was looking for in my daughter is the signs that I was looking for in my son. So as a young mom, I was taking, oh, how he acts, how he is, that's how my daughter is going to be. I wasn't separating them as individuals. Yet again, the lack of knowledge and the lack of experience. So when my oldest daughter got diagnosed, they were diagnosed around the same age, 2.5, because they're stair steps, my older three. So her diagnosis wasn't hard either. The psychiatrist pointed everything out to me. She was like, but we still need you to sign these paperwork. But yeah, this is what's going on with them. And they're pretty much like twins. And that's why everything that he's gesturing, and he is, I'm saying grunt, but it's a better medical terminology of it. But everything that he's doing, she's responding to it because they're like twins in a sense, because how close of age that they are too. Those were my older two. My two younger two, which are girls, their battles was completely different. Now, at this time, as a mom, I knew a little bit more about autism. I knew, though, how to be an advocate for them, though. When it came to them going to school, I'm a true mama bear to the core. Some moms are, when they see their pregnancy test, it's like, okay, yay, I'm mommy mode, right? That's me. Some parents, unfortunately, wait until they hear the baby's heartbeat. I'm the one as soon as I see that test. With that being stated, when it came to my children being in school, I did not play when it came to who was around my son, who was on the school bus with my son. I wanted to know exactly who was going to be there, who he was going to be working with, what his classroom schedule was going to be. I wanted a positive behavior plan. I wanted these things because at the time, my son in particular, he had a lot of aggression, and he didn't like people around him at all. And you would think that the school setting would know that, but both of us being advocates, we know that school settings don't pay attention to the students nor what the families require or ask. So a lot of times I would get constant phone calls where in the beginning when they were younger, I either lost jobs because I had to come up to the schools. I had to resign because yet again I had to come up to the schools because either they didn't understand that my son was overstimulated. They didn't understand he wasn't being defiant, but he does not want you touching him in this way. I already expressed these things to you. TSS workers were lacking because a lot of times the agencies are just hiring young adults or hiring people that have a high school diploma or don't really have the skills that they need to really work with our individuals that are on the spectrum. And that's then where the lack comes in it when it comes to the things that that individual needs. So when it comes to my two youngest, I had to fight tooth and nail for them to get a proper diagnosis. I went to Elwyn first for my third child. Elwyn told me that she was too young. She'll grow out of it. I said, okay. They said, wait till the school setting. I said, okay. Mind you, at this time, she was in daycare. Now, the daycare that she was in, it wasn't like she was the two oldest age where I was seeing things. It was more so of her being, I want to say like 4, 5. So she was about to be in kindergarten. But hers is more sensory. That's where she is heavily when it comes to the spectrum. And there's other things, but the heighten of hers is sensory. She has a lot of sensory needs. So when it came to that, like the touch, sounds, textures, even when it comes to the simple of me washing her hair still to this day, that is a struggle for her. So what I do now for her in particular, like we'll have, she loves music. So I always tell her, pick whatever song you want to. You can sing all to the top of your lungs. Mommy will sing off key for you. Whatever you need, where mommy can just wet your hair and just get it soapy, and then we'll take however long break that you want to. So that's what I do with my third oldest, because that's what she needs as far as hers. She got her diagnosis um, at 6. So it took a while for her to actually get her diagnosis. Everybody kept pushing and fighting me, from the Center for Autism in the beginning to me saying, no, you need to reevaluate my child. And let me make it clear, nobody ever wants their child to have any type of unnecessary diagnosis. My battle was for my children to have the proper diagnosis, because I wanted them to receive the proper support, because I knew that my children was lacking in these particular areas, and I knew exactly what my children needed. Not only because I already went through similar things with the oldest two, so at this point I really know what to look for, and I also know that they all 4 of my children, do a lot of things similar but different at the same time. So when you have a parent such as myself who knows this is what's going on, you have to keep fighting, no matter who blocks you, tries to push it off. And that's what I did. So we have my last child, my youngest. My youngest is a preemie. She was born a preemie. She was born a month early. So you have those challenges that you have with preemies that's born a month early. So as a parent with me, I was already prepared for just her milestones being delayed anyway, because she was a preemie, right? Nothing of being on a spectrum or anything of that nature. Just the fact that I was prepared that her milestones would be delayed. So with Miss, her milestones, yes, was extremely delayed, more delayed than her older siblings. But yet again, they weren't, they were full term. She was a preemie. So nothing alarmed me necessarily. And I honestly couldn't grasp the fact that I was about to be a mommy of 4 kids on the spectrum. So when I would see things, honestly, I pushed them to the back of my mind, to be quite honest with you, because I said, no, I cannot have 4 kids on a spectrum. Like, I was in, honestly, a bit of denial, to be quite honest with you. Um, but when I think back of everything, I think just the mother in me already knew. For example, when my youngest would cry, even as an infant, the only thing that would soothe her was deep pressure massages. So, for instance, I would take her little feet, and it wouldn't just be like the normal rub that parents do to like newborns. I literally would have to like really give her feet and her little toes like a massage, like a deep pressure massage. And that was the only thing that calmed her. Like, I would literally like rub on her back when I would like have her up, and I would just like really like be rubbing on her. That was the only thing that soothed her. So as she got older, I noticed that it was more her needing it. As she got older as well, I knew that she responded very differently to tags. A lot of parents know, like, a lot of children that's on the spectrum cannot stand tags. She can't even. I have tried to get so close to that thing without making a hole, trying to cut that tag off, okay? Where even that little nick of that corner that's still there would bother her to her core. So I said, okay, I have to do like I did with my third oldest. I have to get the tag where it's like embroidered on
Yeah.
it. So yeah, so it doesn't bother. With my son, I can't do that because it's still well, it depends. If it's really flat on the t-shirt where you don't feel like the embroidery of it, it's fine. But if it's not, he can't wear that. So, and with my youngest girls, like my third oldest, she can, baby girl can't, my son can't, and my middle, she doesn't have a problem with the tag necessarily. If I cut it, she's fine. But like if it's that end, that doesn't bother her. And if it's flat, she's fine with whether she can feel it or she can't feel it. So she goes either way. So it's like when it comes to shopping,
Yes, I was
I'm
about to
everywhere.
say about shopping. Oh,
I'm everywhere, okay?
okay.
Um but it's definitely a lot, and it can be very overwhelming. And that's when I even tell my families that I work with, like, I never want them to feel like, dang, this is bad because I feel this way, or this is bad because I feel overwhelmed. That is natural.
Mm-hmm.
It's natural. Us taking care, being parents of these beautiful individuals, is not something that one we learn overnight. It's through trial and error. And a lot of it has to do with them teaching us.
Exactly.
They're the ones who are truly teaching us what their needs are. And it's our job as the parent and the caregiver to pay attention to it so we can do better, for instance, for the next episode or the next time period that something does.
Mm-hmm.
So to go back real quick, as far as my youngest, once I thought back about everything, and I got her sessions with ChildLink.
Okay.
And I remember telling the therapist, I think my daughter's on the spectrum. And they said to me, well, why? And I would list the things far as the sensory. But in the beginning, it was really more so, yet again, sensory stuff
Mm-hmm.
more than anything else. Okay. Now, at the time, she still was really young. Okay. So her therapist, her special instructor, said, no, ADHD, I will see, but no, I don't see autism. Now, mind you, for everybody watching who doesn't know, ADHD is on the autism umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So just to give a little tidbit who didn't know that. So I said, okay. Mind you, I knew that at that time. So I'm like, then I said, I'm not going to listen to you. I know what's going on with my child. So I took her to the Center for Autism. I took her to the Center for Autism. The Center for Autism diagnosed her with global development delay disorder. And they diagnosed her with separation anxiety, and they diagnosed her with ADHD. So I said, okay. So I never heard of global development delay disorder. And yet again, for individuals who don't know what that particular disorder means, it's really a psychiatrist stating that they can't officially give your child this one particular diagnosis. It's a box where they're saying that, for instance, your child kind of has everything, but they don't know which particular diagnosis they want to give the child.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So it's like, I know my child has this diagnosis. You're confirming my child has a diagnosis, but you don't want to put a stamp on the actual diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
So I was told by Center for Autism to come back, or I could get her reevaluated, but they wanted me to wait, I think, like 6 months to a year.
Mm-hmm.
Did that. The director of the Center for Autism diagnosed her and gave the global development delay disorder. They gave her that again. They gave her sensory process disorder. They added that, and then they kept the other two. So I said, these two fall under the autism umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
So why are you still just sticking with that? So they stated that we found that a lot of kids who come in that are younger, mind you, she was 5. A lot of kids who come in that are younger, we see that they grow out of it. So we're going to see what happens once she starts first grade. So I said, okay. So I waited, but this time I took her to spin. So that's how me and spin got to know one another. I took her to spin, and at the time, Spin had a different director who did the evaluation. I think it was Greenberg or something. And she agreed that my daughter had the autism diagnosis. She agrees that that's a diagnosis that my daughter has. But yet again, she didn't want to put a stamp on it because my daughter was, I want to say 4 to 5. Okay, because she'll be 8 this year, and it's not that long ago since she got her official diagnosis. So I had to come back again, and now this was during COVID. Okay, so I had to come back again, and when I came back, that director went to the Center for Autism as a director, and Jessica Lax became the director in that department for the individuals to get diagnosed as SPIN. And during that time, though, Jessica seen her first. So when an individual on the autism spectrum gets diagnosed, it's not just they see a psychiatrist and then boom, they have a diagnosis. It's different phases to it. It's like it depends on the child and how much the child can interact with the psychiatrist. It could be 2 phases, which is typical, or it could be 3 phases sometimes. Yet again, depending on the individual. So the first phase is when my daughter seen Jessica. Jessica agreed, hands down, her tone, the tippy toe walking, how she curls her toes when she's on different uh settings when it comes to the ground between carpet, and then when she switches when she's on hardwood floor, to when she switches when she's on ceramic floor. Still does that to this day. So Jessica flat out said it, but at the time Jessica didn't have her license to give the diagnosis. So when I came back, Jessica was my baby's psychiatrist. She's the one who gave her the evaluation, and it was done. It was a wrap. And she thanked me for being such an advocate I am to my children, because I kept pushing and I kept fighting. And when I did everything, I had the backing to prove why I felt this way. It wasn't just me saying, yet again, I want my baby to have this diagnosis. No, I needed this because my child was going inside of school. She wasn't going to be on my hip anymore. I needed to make sure that the school knew exactly what my child needed. Even though my children are homeschooled. During COVID, that was one of the best things out of COVID, was the fact that my children got to get homeschooled, because the one-on-one helped them thrive. When they were in the school setting, especially in the school district school setting of Philadelphia, school district of Philadelphia, it was horrible. There's no sugarcoating that. It was horrible, especially for special needs classrooms. It just was completely horrible. So when my children got to be at home, they just thrived more. I was able to work with them. I was able to really see what they were really lacking. And then that helped me to understand the IEPs more. Because I'm like, wait, this is their goal that you have, but they're not even reaching this one. That ratio doesn't match. I'm gonna need you to run those numbers back, because we need to relook at that. So I did that for a little while. They stayed in the school district for a little while. And then I put them in CCA. So CCA is an online charter school. And that's where they're at right now. I love CCA as far as the school itself. I still fight with them. Trust me, y'all. I still fight with them when it comes to my baby's IEPs. But the school itself, I love it because it's very flexible when it comes to individuals on the spectrum. Prime example, my kids can log to you not, at whatever time, okay? And they get marked as present. If they have doctor's appointments that day, I don't have to worry about a doctor's note, because they already logged in, so they're good. In the midst of that, the work, they don't have to turn in the work until Friday. So if it's something that they're really struggling with, I can assist them no matter how long. But my goal, obviously, is to make sure that they have it until Friday. But I have it in all their IEPs where they get that extra extended time, though. Excuse me 1 second. Unlock the door for your sister for me, please. So I have it where they have that extended time period to do their work. But by school protocol, it has to be turned in on Friday. So that's what I love about it. But yeah, it's definitely, my household is very interesting to say the least. It is always something going on. And something else real quick for families who don't know, or individuals who are watching your podcast may not have heard. Individuals who are on the spectrum in particular, or individuals who have an IEP, and a lot of times also you can work it in there for a 504 plan too. They can receive and be in school until they are 21 years of age. So for instance, my soon to be 20-year-old, because he turns 20 in a couple days, he will be there until he's 21. I push for that because I know the everyday knowledge that they still are working with, and they still are struggling with, excuse me. And because of that is why I have decided for my particular children to stay inside of the school setting until they're 21, so they can grasp as much as they can outside of obviously mom working with them and teaching them and helping them, but so they can get those everyday life skills that they're going to need, especially when mom is no longer here. So with the school, they return back as it's called super students. So for instance, my son graduated, he got to walk down the aisle. They gave him like a high school certificate that says that he completed his 12th year, but his official diploma he'll get once he's done completely.
Okay.
So my oldest girl, she graduates in June. So
Okay.
she'll get to walk down the aisle with her class because it's her graduating year. If
Yeah.
this was somebody else, this will be her actual graduation year. So I don't take that from them. I allow them to have all the things that any other student would have. If you come back, you're coming back to just get that extra points. That's how I word it to them. I'm not going to have you not have your graduating year because mommy has decided for you to stay just to get extra support, right?
Mhm.
Because a lot of times, even when I explained it to them, they didn't understand that. So why put them through the questions more, hurt their feelings in a sense more when they can get the full experience of the high school party? She has
Yeah.
a bowling party that I'm planning for her high school party. She's
Yeah.
going to do her high school graduation pictures. She's getting a walk down the aisle. So these are all the things where you're going to get because this is your year. Your year is 2025. I'm not going to take that from you because I decided for you to stay longer.
Mhm.
So when it comes to my babies, I communicate to them all differently. They obviously, because they're, like you said earlier, every individual that's on the spectrum is completely different.
Yeah.
So I can ask open-ended questions to two of them, depending on the day. And the other days I can get a little bit more information, but I have to be very slow when I say the information. And it's more so multiple choice in a sense
Mhm.
of me giving the information, even though like the steps, like I have to give like 3 steps with two of them, for instance. And then the other ones is like, okay, do you want orange juice or do you want milk? It has to just be like that. That is more the open-ended question like that is definitely for my youngest. My like the middle two, it depends on the day. And that's one thing too that people I think have a misconception with when it comes to individuals on the spectrum, especially children on the spectrum. I think that they won't go through the normal teenage stuff. Like I think that they won't have like the boy crushes. They won't like the girls, or they won't have like the attitudes. And when I tell people no, she has an
Okay.
attitude.
Yeah.
Yes, they be like, what? I'm like, what would make you think she wouldn't have an attitude?
Yeah. Yeah. They still
So
live
it's
up
like
to
stuff like that. Yeah, where you be like, did you really just say that out loud? So, like, that's what goes on my house. I have attitudes this way. I have little girls that want to do face painting. I have my son who is totally a boy who just wants to be on his video games and talk to his friends all nights and be on his video games
Yeah.
and not talk to mom at
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
unless I have to feed you, unless somebody was mean to him in school,
Mhm.
unless he has no clue what his teacher said, um, and he's confused with his work. That's the only times I see my son.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
girls are definitely still mommy's girls, and they still want to be near me until they got an attitude problem because I told them they couldn't have anything. But besides that, everybody loves mom.
Awesome, awesome. Look, I'm glad you went into detail about each and every one of them. Just because like that journey is like you said is different for each one. And then during the time that they were, being diagnosed, like I when you were talking about the global disorder, I was like, I remember when they started doing it. And I'm this is just my personal opinion that a lot of kids were being diagnosed and then they was like pump your brakes, like we don't know, if we're overdiagnosing. And so that's when they got to the point where they was just like, oh well, give it some time, give it some
Yes,
time, give it some time.
yes,
I was still in the trend, like I was still in early intervention when that was happening. I remember receiving an IFSP with the disorder, and I'm like, well, what is that? Like I didn't even know what it was because it was new on paperwork. So I had to like do my research, go talk to the psychiatrist, find out what it was, read the DSM-4, and find out exactly what they were talking about. So I knew what to do and how to support the child that I was working with.
yes,
And so like I knew like some of my kids were being diagnosed on the autism spectrum disorder, and what support still they needed, like sensory, so they would see the OT. Some of them they had the speech therapist because of the communication. So I knew, like, those supports. But when I got that one on my first IFSP, I was like, what am I supposed
You're
to
like,
do?
what is going on?
And I was
Yeah.
like, global, what? Like, and so, like I said, as their special instructor, I had to do, my due diligence and find out, how I can support them. So when you were talking about the time frame of all your, I was like, yes, I remember that. And
Yeah.
then going into the pandemic, um, it was like, I feel like it was kind of like, because I had two students that was diagnosed while we were in the pandemic, and they kind of like the evaluations and stuff slowed down, which was
Yes.
um it was understandable because of what we were going through at the time.
Yeah.
But a lot of
Yeah.
parents just wanted to know, like, well, what should I do? What can I do? How can I help my child? And I will agree with you that the pandemic actually allowed a lot of parents to just sit still and watch their children. And I'm not saying watch their children if they wasn't watching their children, but to see the different things that their children were having
Absolutely.
challenges with in school. Because I personally seen it with my daughter with reading, like math. She was answering. She was in like second grade, second and third grade. She putting her hand up, answering, reading. She would literally fall on the floor, bust out crying, screaming, yelling, and I'm like, what is going on here? And I'm at work, like sitting by them,
Yeah.
and I'm like trying to pay attention to my client that I'm working. And so that's how I was like, okay, so that mama bear hat came on and was like, what can I get for her? What supports do she need? And
Yep.
so I totally agree with you with the mama bear. I don't know. I'm about to sound like Kobe with the mama bear mentality here, because you
No, but it's
gotta
the
work
truth.
it. You gotta
You
work it
have
because
to. You
mhm,
you have to, because it's it's one thing to not know, right? But
mhm,
the moment that you are made aware, right? And you know that this is what's going on, that's when you don't allow anybody to stop you from getting what your child needs. And for me, I just I knew what was going on. I
mhm,
just knew what was going on. And I wasn't going to sit back to allow them to be misdiagnosed. And I
mhm,
wasn't going to sit back to allow them not to have the proper diagnosis because of the fact that, like you mentioned, at that time, there was like a lot of kids, oh, autism here, we hear autism this, we hear autism that. And my mindset was, I don't care who you just diagnosed.
mhm.
You need to worry about my child and
Yeah,
who's in front of you right now, because yet again, why you diagnose that child is not going to be the same reasons why you diagnose my child. It's completely different.
exactly.
So that was the truth. They were so on, well, we don't want to say that yet because we'll just see what happens. And my thing that my kids were always in a school setting base, even
Mhm,
though they were in daycare. The daycare, I never had them in a daycare, for instance, that just was like they sat in front of a TV and watched TV all day, right? Because
mhm,
at that time, especially when the older three, you had daycares that was like that, that wasn't dealing with Head Start programs or didn't have an actual like school based curriculum, for instance, right? They
mhm.
really just having the kids either outside playing, nap time, eat, and sit down and watch TV. Okay. Sesame Street was their teachers.
Yes.
Let's be honest. Okay. But my kids, even at their age, they always was in a daycare, and I didn't flip multiple daycares. So it was like two daycares, the max that they were in. But they had a curriculum, and I seen where how their writing was, even for us coloring, if they stayed in lines or if they was just completely off the page. These are things that I was receiving those documents for. So it wasn't like I was just saying, oh, well, they're not doing this at home. No, I had the backing from the daycare staff as well. When it came to my third child, the daycare staff, honestly, is the one who mentioned to me how much my daughter was delayed when it came to her academic skills.
Mhm,
I was like, well, yeah, I can see that. So it's funny because as I'm saying this, it's making me think, even in that moment, I just never expected to be a mommy of four children that was on the spectrum.
mhm.
And it's not a bad thing at all. Never felt like it was bad.
Yeah.
It's just more so not knowing that it could happen I feel like that would be the best words for it. So it was just like, okay, I have two children on the spectrum, right? So when my third was born and like in school and stuff, I was just like, okay. And yet again, push certain things in the back of my mind because I was like, well, this doesn't happen, that doesn't happen. This is heightened, but it's that. And that's the same thing that I did with my youngest because I just was like, really? And it's funny because another woman, she helped me when it came to my second oldest. Um, she was able to give me support far as her getting her proper placement in the school. The school was fighting me so hard about it. And I'm like, she needs to be inside of, if you're not going to put her inside of an autism support class, you need to put her inside of a learning support class. I say either one of them, she's going inside of. She's not staying in the general population, which to people who don't know, that's just a regular classroom outside of a special needs classroom. And I was like, no, she's not thriving here. She's lacking heavily here. She's getting behind heavily here. And I don't want her to just get pushed underneath the rug to the next grade. And I know that she's still lacking heavily here. So why not put her in one of these settings where you can kind of hone in on what her needs are? Or at least you should be able to hone in on what her needs are. So when I met this woman, I forget how we got in contact. I don't know who put me in touch with her. But when I met her, I told her my story. And the principal, the school was Anne Frank's, which is in the northeast section of Philadelphia. And the principal at the time, he said, my daughter doesn't look autistic, so she doesn't need to be in this classroom.
There's no look.
Exactly. I said, huh? So when I mentioned that to the advocate, she stated to me, oh no. What? Oh no. I remember like it was yesterday. I was on the phone with her. She said, oh no. Huh? Absolutely not. She said, you know what? Don't even worry about the service fee. I'm going to take your daughter's case.
Wow.
And it was over. And I remember being in that IEP meeting, her coming in and talking, and the school was like, we don't have a problem putting her in a learning support or transferring her to a different school if that's what mom want. When I tell you my head spun around, like I was like, what?
And
I said,
the whole time. Wow.
whole time stuck. And when I say to you, she didn't say much, and there's no discredit to her in that moment. Let me make that very clear. But when I promise you, she did not say much. She did not say much for them to make that statement. So I was like, oh. And she said, it's okay. Because it's how you come in. So that was one thing, too, that taught me how to, like, stand firm. Like, I was firm, but just, like, stand firm. It taught me, don't sign anything on the IEP. If I don't agree with it, don't sign it.
Don't sign it.
If you feel like there's something really lacking, you need to put that you need a mediation, or you need it's either mediation or accommodations. It'll be worded depending on how the IEP is worded, and which means that okay, somebody else needs to now speak on your behalf. So that's what I did. So I went through that school district. Sued the school district of Philadelphia multiple times when it came to my kids' services. Now I'm friends with the lawyers. Now we're okay now. But yes, so and out all of my children's journey, I always am appreciative, and I'm thankful for that advocate for what she did in that aspect of it. Other stuff different, but I am thankful for what she did when it came to that. So I will never take that away from her.
Yeah, yeah. I think and I've worn both hats. I've sat at a table assisting a parent with their needs for their child in the IEP meeting. And then I sit on when I was at Spin, I was at the table as a special instructor, and then I also sit at the table as a parent, and then now I'm in a school setting, and so learning the different laws, regulations, who can do what can happen, procedural safeguards, like all that runs through my head when personally now when I write an IEP, because I'm like, nope, This baby gonna get what they need. The mama gonna get
Yes.
what she want for the baby, and then we could talk about it as a team. But at the end of the day, the one who needs those services and supports is that child. So the
Absolutely.
adults could be like, oh, well, they don't look like that, or they don't, we don't, we're not paying for that. But at the end of the day, the one who needs those services and supports is that child. And that's one thing as a special education teacher that I don't never want to take away. And even as a parent, like when I used to sit in the meetings and I'm like, well, my son need this. Like, so for my son,
Seriously.
he had a feeding tube. He was born premature. So like we went through, like he went to a private Montessori school, he went to a child care setting, he went to the charter school that he went attended until the 8th grade. And so I was always, he didn't get a IEP. He had a 504 plan because of his feeding tube, but he didn't get an actual IEP until the pandemic. Because then he was diagnosed with ADHD. And so, but even with that, I kept seeing different things. We were actually in family therapy at the time because our life had got uprooted, and we were at Children's Hospital at their family trauma unit. And the therapist kept saying, I feel like it's a little bit more than trauma for him. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's when I started seeing the behaviors more. Or, I'm going to be honest, I was working and moving. So it might have been behaviors there, but I never got it from the school.
Okay.
And then, yeah. And then if we were in, before the pandemic, I was, separated from their dad. So now I'm the single parent, and now I'm like, working multiple jobs and then still taking care of them. So it's like I was paying attention, but I wasn't paying attention, if that makes sense.
Hmm. No,
Um,
I get it. And it's hard. Like
yeah,
you said,
yeah,
you're a single
it is.
parent. And
Mm-hmm.
especially when you go from two of the parents being in the house to
Yes.
now the other parent isn't in the house. Then you got to deal with the emotions that they're having
And
to
that's
the
why I
emotions that
stepped out.
they're not, yeah, that
Mhm.
they're not able to express, or they're bottling in themselves. I went through that with my son, where I knew why my son had aggression.
Mhm.
Okay. I
Mhm.
knew that his aggression had everything to do with the fact that his dad, so their dad wasn't in the picture, not his dad, their dad, that their dad wasn't in the picture. And I knew that he missed his dad. I knew that he didn't know how to express that.
Mhm.
Um, and I knew that it just was the frustration of wanting his dad.
Yeah.
So when things would happen, especially with Mel's, when Mel's would try to tell him something, whew, the only Mel that he would listen to was my uncle. That's
Mhm.
the only Mel that he would listen to. But like TSS workers, teachers, it was just very hectic when my son was younger.
Mhm.
When, far as his aggression, like it's times where I literally came up to the school when my son was throwing chairs around, where my son was pushing desks around, where he was kicking chairs. Now, mind you, I never experienced that at home.
Mhm.
So to witness it
It's
and to see it, it was like, the devil is going on here?
yeah. Yeah.
And it never got to a point where any of my children, especially my son, was aggressive towards me.
Mhm.
Their aggression at times was more self harm to themselves. Um, and even still, my two youngest, or do more like picking with their skin, like on the corners of their thumbs more. Um, my third daughter, my third child, she will pick her lips a lot. So a lot of times her lips are like blisters almost, where I'm constantly kind of like just globbing her with Vaseline.
Mhm.
Just to like, keep it
Just
where it won't crack
yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
And you got nail biters. It's just so much stuff where it's like, as a single parent, people ask me all the time, how do you do it? Because you don't have one child that's on the spectrum. You have four children that's on the spectrum, and they're all completely different. All their needs is completely different.
Mhm.
So when people ask me that, I just explain to them that one is through prayer.
Yes.
And two, I have a great support system. Um, and it's just yet again, I feel like it's just who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Is no other way to put that. I wanted my children, right? So because I know that my children didn't ask to be here and I wanted my children to be here, the drive in me and the determination in me to give them nothing but the best is what pushes me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I am a go-getter, a hustler, whichever way and wording it is. It's just
Mm-hmm.
me, which is why I have many traits that my hands are a part of.
Yeah.
Because there's never going to be a point in time where I can say I don't have a job to provide for these children.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that I do, no matter what the economy comes out of, I'm going to have a job in the medical field, notary, for yet again when it comes to finances, it's always going to be somebody who needs a financial coach. It's always going to be somebody who needs to know different ways to open up an account and which account is proper. So when I move strategically, and I make sure that it's still going to benefit my family.
Yeah, yeah. And it sounds like the professions that you went in, you're able to still be able to do the profession and still take care of your kids. Because I know you talked about earlier having to like resign from jobs and leave jobs, and
Yes.
same here for me. Like with his feet and tube, they calling me like I don't know what to do. I don't, and I'm like, okay, I'm on my way. And that's actually how I ended up at Spin because the job I was a head start teacher.
Okay.
And I was the lead teacher, and my son was in and out of the hospital, in and out of the hospital. And I kept saying, I can't do this to, I was saying that I can't do this to my kids that I'm teaching because I can't be there for them the way I wanted to be there for them. And I was like, they need to have somebody that can be right here in the classroom teaching them while I can go take care of my son. And facility that I was at, they was like, no, 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 we'll pay you more money. Like we, they was, I don't want to say they was begging, but they really was like, can you just stay? Like we'll work with you. You can go on FMLA. And I'm like, no, I need to focus on my son because he had just got the doctor had just said like it's either the hospital or the feeding tube, and I was like.
Okay.
And I never wanted to be a nurse. Trust me, I don't like blood. I don't know how you doing full of what is it full of like I can't.
Surviving me, surviving
Yeah,
me.
nope. But for my son, I'll do
You
whatever it
did it.
takes.
Yeah,
I'll do it.
absolutely.
So I took me and his dad. We were still together at the time. We took the class, and then they was like, so I'm thinking every month I gotta take them in to get it changed. No, they're like, no, you change it. And I was like, who? What? Do what?
Yes.
When I tell you, my son went from being a 5-year-old to Mike Tyson because he was beating. He did not
Yes.
like when it was time to change that thing. He did not want me to change it, and I was like, Jordan, like you got to do this. Like if you don't do this, then it's the hospital, and if you don't do this, mommy, I was like, I can't lose you. I was like, I need you to eat. I need you to be healthy. And so that even when I got pregnant with my second, he be swinging. I'd be like, please don't hit the baby. He like, I don't want you to do this. And they had to teach me how to like swaddle him in a blanket just to keep him secure enough. Like,
Mhm.
and it was like I was holding him, like I'm swaddling him, rocking him, and then I'm like, well, I'm going to, put the tube in now. Like, and I would have to just talk it to him. So like, this
Yeah.
is about to happen. I'm about to put the tube in. Then we're going to check it. Like, I started telling him what to do to the point where my youngest, she started like as she was, growing up, she'd be like, I'll go get the tube for you. I'll go get the pet. Like she turned into like a little nurse because they are just
Yeah.
so they learned, even though I was still the one changing it, they knew what to get. I'm like, I need this supply, I need this ointment. They knew right, like I kept it in drawers separately, and they knew, where to go and be like, oh,
Yeah.
and then, or they would know it was getting to the end of the month. It's time to change his tube. Like they was keeping me
Because
on
she seen
schedule.
it. They seen it. You
Mm-hmm.
were going through the steps with him. And
Yeah,
that's the thing that people, I feel like, lack is a misconception too. Our babies are the most smartest
they are.
individuals.
They
The
are.
most smartest individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were saying how your daughter math like that, but reading not.
Mm-hmm.
My son is the same way. Math, let me tell you something. And I'll be honest, I can do quick math,
Mhm.
okay? I know where these bills need to be taken care of and how much is lacking and not lacking,
Mhm.
okay? But my son, the quick math that he does, I'll be like, okay, if he hears me talking out loud while I'm taking care of bills and stuff, right? If he comes down with something and he's like, he'll repeat the numbers.
Mhm.
And that's just what he does. He'll repeat the numbers. And he'll be like, that one is that one. That one's that one. P equals this one. P equals that one. And I'm like, okay, thank you. And then I'd be like, okay, I wasn't there yet. I was going back on stuff yet. Give me a second, mommy. Okay, I don't want to hear that number yet. So he be there, but like that's like numbers is his thing. He
Mhm.
actually wants to be a carpenter.
Okay.
So, with CCA, they have trade programs. So next year he's supposed to become an apprentice.
Oh,
So I have to talk myself into it because he's not going to be in my eye frame anymore. And so some people, they might be like, he's 20. He's 20, but he's still my baby, number one.
Yes.
And on top of that, age wise, legally he's 20. Mentally he's not 20.
Mhm.
And that's what too a lot of people don't understand. Yes, our children, the individuals who are on the spectrum, yes, this is their age. And spend I in the finance department, I've seen the individuals who live inside of a spend home, which
Oh.
is a home for individuals who families can't take care of them, and they live there and they get the support and services through spend.
Mhm.
And some of them work, some of them don't work. So I seen how, older individuals can be. And that's another reason why I wanted to do spend, and I took the finance part after I did the interview, because I initially wanted to work with the children because I love the babies.
Yeah.
um I did it though because I said my son is in this age bracket now. Now I want to engage with individuals who are in his age bracket, if not older. So that's going to give me a chance to kind of see, not in a sense what I might be up against, but more so it's just that interaction.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I know the age, I know what the age period is, for instance, for the girls, right? I can tell whether it's male or female. I can have conversations all day with my families about that. I can have conversations about his age bracket too. But when it comes to, for instance, like the older adults, that's where I can't. So when it comes to my foundation, I stick between my limit is 22
Mhm.
far
Mhm.
as the families that I can support. Basically because it's still within like the school setting if they,
Yeah.
have it, or it's in that transition where at that last year I'm setting up the IEP where they can do an apprenticeship program, or
Mhm.
I'm setting up the IEP where through OSHA they can do like a work ready program. So
Exactly.
it's different ways where I'm like, I'm going to stay in a realm that I know that I can best support the families,
Mhm.
more so than me just saying, well, I want to create this autism foundation, but I'm gonna be like all over the place. No, it's literally the realms that I know firsthand that I'm going to be best able to support.
Mhm. So just piggybacking on what you were saying there. So for your organization, um, and I heard you say 22. What's the starting age? Do you go from like birth, like or once they're diagnosed and into 22? Like, what's your starting age for the families?
Diagnosis, but mainly school setting, kindergarten.
Okay.
So if they have that diagnosis already in kindergarten, far as the IEP, then I'm right on board.
Mhm.
Um, but if a family calls me and say, for instance, my son or daughter is in the process of being evaluated, so I still work with the families. For instance, the questions to ask during the evaluations to the psychiatrist, me even prepping the families, for instance, as far as what they're going to ask during their evaluation. So I still do that. um I always say that there's not a family that I will not help,
Mhm.
okay? Because at the end of the day, I'm a parent just like you're a parent,
Mhm.
who, so I know firsthand how it feels like when you need help and it seems like nobody wants to help you, okay? As a young mom, that's just how I felt. I just felt like nobody wanted to help me. And quick shout out to my mother, because my mother, I feel like between my mom and just the mama bear and me, that is what pushed me to really want to create an organization. I wanted to do this years ago, to be quite honest with you, but my babies were still little and life was lifing,
Yes.
and the timing just was not right. And as my children are getting older, and like I said, it's more support that I have, I'm like, this is the best time to do it. And I've just been on the go since I created it, and I've been doing it. But to piggyback off of what you said real quick again, as far as the families, I was at an event with the Philadelphia Sheriff's Department last Saturday. I was able to participate with them, and a woman came over to my table and she pretty much asked me the same question, like, what's the age range? Like, do you help? Like, how do you get your funding? Like, do you charge for services? And I said, I do charge for services. I said, but my services aren't what some organizations charge, because I have seen some organizations charge like a crazy
Yes.
amount. And it's like, are you trying to take care of your mortgage, or are you trying to take care of the family that needs the help?
That part.
So, like, the only thing that I feel like mine's somebody may say is higher than the rest of the packages that I offer is the parent and the one-on-one coaching, because that's some more details. It's a
Yeah.
lot more steps to that. It's a lot more effort and time on my end when it comes to that with helping the families. But when it comes to like the IEP consultations, things like that, that's not a ridiculous price. And no matter what the advocate that I am, all the funds goes back into the organization. Nothing is inside my personal bank account. Nothing goes to me. It's to me to go get more supplies. It's to me to go get more business cards. It's to me to keep that website moving and everything far as that. But it's yet again, it's for the foundation to better and keep serving these families. But I told her, I said, if a family can't afford it, I'm not going to be like, well, you can't afford it. I even have on my website where if you are a low income family, I will have, you can reach out to me and we can work something out, because at the end of the day, my focus in this is not for money. My focus in this is to be able to support another parent, another family, some more babies, the way that I got supported, the way that I still get supported when it comes to my support system. So that's my focus, and that's my drive of my foundation, is not to be like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and then I got this new house and everything like that. No shade to the people. No, it is shade. It's shade to the people that actually go about and do that. It is shade, but that's just not me, and that's why too I work more so with the urban area of the Philadelphia, because that's the schools that lack the most of not having the support. So I work in the Philadelphia area and the tri-state. So the surrounding areas as well. I'll go where somebody says, Miss Jess, I need support. Miss Jess, this is what I need. And as long as I feel like we're vibing and what I'm stating to you, you feel like we'll connect and mash and we're a good fit, I'm on board. That's why I do the 15-minute free consultation. At that time, you're going to know if my personality, who I am, what I offer is going to work for you and your family, and vice versa. And then we get the ball going.
Exactly. Awesome. Awesome. I'm sitting here clapping for you, like, yes.
Oh,
Because in
thank
my
you.
head, like, so I know you said, like, with your journey, you was just like, like I have 4 children that's on the spectrum, but God doesn't make no mistakes. And so
Absolutely not.
he
Absolutely
he
not.
he picked you personally to be their mama, but not only that, to be able to transition those skills and what you were learning and be able to advocate for other families and to be able to help them in their journey. Like that's what and I'm be honest, I think I shared it before on the podcast. It'd be some days where it'd be like, okay, God, I did this. All right, I'm done. And then I get a phone call with a parent that all they Googled was advocate. And so they not necessarily looking for an attorney, but I'm like, I'm not an attorney, but what do you need? And so for me, advocate for me, and the me can stand for the parent, the child, or the community. So I never, that everybody was like, well, who you serving? Everybody.
Everybody. Everybody.
You have a demographic. Like I have all my mentors be like, "What's your avatar?" And I be like, "Okay, I have an avatar. I definitely do." But the me and advocate for me can be for the parent, the child, or the community. Whoever need me. Like that's how it
Yeah.
started.
Because
So
that's what it is, though. And
because
that's what
it's
people have to
everybody.
understand. It's everybody. Like
Mhm.
I said this past weekend, I feel like I said it so many times, but especially when I was on the panel, I said it really starts by you supporting, in my opinion, the parent.
The parent.
Because once you're able to support the parent and give the parent what they need, the parent is then able to feel comfortable to allow you to support their child or children. But they take the support that you give them and they're able to then transition that to their own child.
Exactly.
So it starts from the parent.
Mhm.
That's just me. I feel like it really starts from the parent. So, like you said, it's the parent, it's the community, it's whoever needs my help.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, I know how it feels to be lost.
Mhm.
I know how it feels to not understand what them teachers are saying. I know how it feels to have a voice, but then not sure if you can use your voice because you think that maybe the school knows more than what you do. I
Mhm.
know how it feels when it comes to, does a 504, is that really, should I go this route? Is that really best? Or should I just go straight for an IEP? Because my third child, she had a 504. And then she had the IEP because they didn't want to go off of the Center for Autism evaluation. They wanted to do a school evaluation first,
Yeah.
but they had to honor it because she had her diagnosis, whether it was outside diagnosis or not.
Mhm.
She had her diagnosis. So I said, no, you want to do something. So
Mhm.
that's when they said, well, we can put her on a 504 plan. And then once she has a school
That-
diagnosis, we'll do the IEP. So, but some parents don't know those steps though.
Yeah.
Some parents don't know. They hear one thing and sometimes they get frozen. Or unfortunately, they shrink back. And then they be like, okay. And then that's when they don't want to use their voice. And it's not something, yet again, that comes naturally to some parents, to some households. It's not something that happens overnight. Is nothing wrong that you don't grasp it right away. Is nothing wrong that when either one of us helps our families where they may go in the room and not say what we told them to say, for instance. There's nothing wrong with that. It's all about the steps and you doing your best to follow through with the step. Because no matter what, the babies is going to be taken care of. They're
Mhm.
going to be taken care of. As long as they have the proper support, the babies are going to be taken care of. As long as the parents have the proper support and an outlet, yet again, an outlet
Yeah.
that helps them as well. I
Mhm.
was asked so many times, well, what's your outlet? And I'll be like, what outlet? I'm
Mhm.
like, what you talking about?
Yeah.
And it didn't dawn on me. I felt like a lot of parents so ashamed to have an outlet. I was like, well, how dare me go get, my nails done and be wanting to be all over here and have me time. And yet again, I had to learn that. I
Mhm.
had to learn that it was okay that I wanted to stay out longer when I got my nails done. It's okay if I want to get my nails and my hair done. It's okay that my mom is watching my children and I'm going out with my cousins for dinner. That doesn't make me a bad mommy. That makes me a mom who's able to come back home, be happy, be
Mhm.
able to have so much energy, and then give all that positive to my kids. Instead of me being so overwhelmed, so frustrated, where unfortunately they get their head bit off in a sense because everything is just all on me.
Yeah.
You need to be able to have that me time as well. And I'm gonna tell you something. I cherish my me time now, honey.
Yeah.
Okay? I cherish my me time. I'll
Yes.
be like, okay, everybody's okay.
Mhm.
Okay, you going with Grammy? You going with your uncle? Okay.
Yep.
Have fun.
Mhm. Yep. And you had that. I know. My friend Shantae, like we always talk, because I did like respite care for her, like while she go on trips and stuff with her son, and she always was just like, um it was a trust issue for her. Like
Absolutely.
I don't know if they'll be able to, but and I understood that because that's how I was with my kids at first. But you have to, like, what's that saying with the airplane? You gotta put the mask on first before you can put it on your child,
Yes.
because if you don't, you're not gonna
Are
be
you gonna be
good.
able to exactly?
So
Exactly.
I always like I had to explain that to her. So, once, we grew and we had a bond, I was like, if you need anything, I'm here. And so now that's my goal for this year. And I actually offer respite care services to a mother on the weekends. And so that's my goal for Advocate for Me. Like, it started out for resources, advocacy, and training, and we still offer that. Like, with the podcast, with the digital magazine, like, we want to get the resources out there to the families, because that was, like you were stating before, like, that was me in the beginning, like with my son's diagnosis and stuff, like just being on the computer all night, like trying to find out what is it, what I can do for him, what's the supports. But like you were saying, there was nothing here in like the urban area. So I was like, well, and then I'm on Eventbrite, and it's like, go to, like, it's a 2-hour drive.
Bucks County,
Yeah,
Myron Dump, yeah,
I'm like, I
yeah,
gotta go all the way out there just to get services.
yes,
And I remember when I was starting Advocate for Me, it was a bunch of us, Jamila for Autism Rec. Like, it was a bunch of us, like, in the process of, like, we can't find this for our kids and we can't find that for our kids. And it was just like, we gonna have to start it ourselves. Like, and so, and all them are
seriously,
with their business
and that's what
and
it is.
everything. Yep.
That's what it is. You be
Yep.
like, what is around here from my babies?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what can I really, what am I able to offer them that I can't grasp, And when the trust thing is so real, and with our babies, they have such the most biggest, kindest hearts.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm telling you, when one of my babies get hurt, girl, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
It's over. Where it's my best friend will say all the time. He's like, you are a true mama bear to the fullness. My brother will say to me, and he'll always be like, what did you do to Jessica? And because this literally, he'll be like, when somebody says, oh, well, your sister is such and da 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 da. And he'll say, what did you do to Jessica? And then his next question is, what did you do to the kids?
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, I'm the most kind hearted,
Exactly.
warmest person. But when it comes to my babies, it is game
Mm-hmm.
over.
Yeah.
Long as my babies is fine, I'm fine. But that's how I am with my families too. And I always tell the families that I'm like, listen, this is something that is near and dear to my heart. This is not something that I do because I was, for instance, a teacher and I was like, oh, let me, since I work with kids, let me get involved in this.
Mm-hmm.
No. And nothing's wrong to teachers who may have made that decision, right? Who
Yeah.
truly want to do it because they actually have a love for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a parent who has sat in the same seat and positions that you have sat in. I know them nights that you cry. I know them nights that you may be talking to dad and dad ain't grasping it. Or in some fashions, dad grasps it, but mom hasn't grasped it.
Mm-hmm.
I understand the doubts. I understand the disappointment. I understand the fussing at God, cursing out God, asking why, trying to figure out why me? What am I going to do? How can I support this one? What I have been there. The only difference is that's my journey of how I went about it, how I handled it, how my children are. It is your journey, vice versa. I said
Exactly.
that's the only difference between us. That's the only difference between us.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely, like, especially when they're in the beginning of it, and like you've been through like the different stages of it. Like, your children are older, so you're able to give them that example. But also, everyone's journey is different. So my journey is
Yes,
not going to be the same as yours, but I can take your hand and we can walk together. And so you're not
absolutely.
alone. Like, the main point, and I feel like this is for all our organizations, is that they're not alone. Like, that, like, you have someone now that can take your hand and can walk you through what's about to happen at the IEP meeting. Give you those questions before you hear them at the table, because it's a difference when you're at the table and they throwing all that jargon at you and you like, what, huh, what's this, huh, what,
Yes.
sign this, and it's like, Okay.
Huh?
And you don't want
And
to
then you just start signing
start.
because you get so
Mm-hmm.
discombobulated. You
Yeah.
get so overwhelmed with, like you said, once you're in that room, especially for a new family,
Yeah.
you're in that room, you have no idea what's about to take place.
Yeah.
Some people be like, oh, I just have to meet with the teacher and not even know the whole IEP
Whole
team.
team.
You
Mm-hmm.
think that you're just meeting with your child's teacher. No, the principal's there, the counselor is there. You have the regular teacher from the regular the
Like,
special
like,
the general based population. So
different.
it's like then you have the special instructor, the special liaison. It's so many pieces to it
Yeah.
where it's like, oh hi, where you didn't even know half these people was even a part that worked with your child or part of your child's team. And the kicker is half of them might not even actually work with your child. But they have to have one person in each
And each
department
department.
that's there. So you be like, oh, okay, and who are you? That's my famous question every time. I be like, okay, and who are you?
And look, in
And
the
what
beginning,
do
they
you
supposed to introduce themselves before that meeting
every
started.
time?
Everybody.
And when they did, but that will always be my question though. But who are you concerning my child though?
Mm-hmm.
Are you actually my child's gym teacher?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they'd be like, "No, we needed a gym teacher," and I'd be like, "Yes, yes, that part," and I'd be like, "Well, I'm gonna need you not to give any input," or it would be like the special liaison wasn't there, so a lot of times they would want to reschedule, or
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, we're not rescheduling for nobody."
Yeah.
No, I
Yep.
said because if y'all can't reschedule for me, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
rescheduling for a teacher.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now that's I will say that's the one downside that I don't like about my kids' charter school is that the school district in person, they actually go off of the parents' schedule when it comes to the
Yeah.
IEP meeting,
Mm-hmm.
but this charter school is the teacher's schedule.
Oh.
So a lot of times what will happen is like for instance, like I said, because my son is supposed to do apprenticeship next year. So the goal is to speak to his teacher, her supervisor, which is the principal in that department, um, and the instructor as far as his trade program that he's in through the school, obviously him, which I love the fact that he's a part of his IEP meeting. He
Yeah.
doesn't understand all of it, but I prep him obviously through like what we're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And then I say like what mommy just said, if you have any questions, just like, speak it in your phone and then you can ask the questions when you get to the meeting. So like he does that. Um, but it's a lot for him because he stems through the whole time. And I just always remind him, it's okay. You don't have to be nervous. If it's
Mm-hmm.
something you don't understand, just tap mommy. Or if you feel okay, you can say, I don't like this or I don't understand. And just ask them to explain it. Or if you say that and if they say, well, what don't you understand? Sometimes he'll repeat it back again. And then I'll say, well, do you want to tell mommy? So sometimes he will, or sometimes like he'll walk away and he'll go talk in his phone with it, and then he'll come back over and then he'll show me the message. So it's like ways like that. So, but I do. I love that he's going to do that. But that meeting, I said for sure the day that we were going to have the meeting because I was like, listen, this ain't about y'all.
Mm-hmm.
This is I said because I won't sign not a thing, and when I don't sign, it's not legal.
Yeah.
I said, so I don't care what setting you have in your mind, I have to sign.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just very strong with that with my families. I tell them all the time, if you don't understand it, you don't agree with it, you have a question, you don't sign nothing until your question gets answered or until it is to your standards.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like to tell the families too, even in my case, you got to be realistic. Okay. Like I said this on my one live that you may want your son or daughter to have every service possible. And sometimes new parents want that because they're new and they're like, okay, they got the diagnosis. Yeah, give them everything. No, give them what they need.
Mm-hmm.
Fight for what they need. My children have OT, speech, mobile therapists, um, group sessions, and physical therapy. The youngest has physical therapy too.
Mm-hmm.
So when they were in school, like the older three in person school, they got almost all of their services.
Mm-hmm.
And then I always said we can go two routes. We can fight for all services, but you're not going to have the max of the time period for all of them.
Yeah.
I said, then that way, allow the time to increase by them seeing what they really need.
Mm-hmm.
Then the ones that we really want, let's just say if it's PT, we're going to fight for the max of PT. The
Mm-hmm.
rest will do like an hour. And it really depends on the school, obviously, and the time frame of that
Yeah.
child's schedule.
Yeah.
But you'll go about it for what best fits them. But that's how it is with everything. But you gotta. I love being an advocate.
Yeah.
There's no if and buts about it. I love being an advocate. I love fighting for not only my babies but for other families. Because yet again, I know how it felt when I didn't know how to use my voice.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I meet with the families, it just takes me back to that moment of me being so nervous, being scared to use my voice because yet again, I didn't think that my voice was as powerful as my voice is.
Mm-hmm.
And once the parent caregivers understand that it's their voice that truly
Yep. That's
matters the
yeah.
most,
Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it opens so much for their child.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need that extra support,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where advocates like ourselves come in play, where we give them that extra support. But I just want to commend you,
Oh.
okay, because I truly, not only when before we actually had the time to connect
Mm-hmm.
on Instagram, from me being mentioned from our former coworker about you, I seen your page and I seen all that you do, and I just was, as an African American woman, I just was very proud, and I still am proud of you.
Thank
All the genres and ways that you have to make sure that the community has the support. It is truly inspiring to me, and it just makes me want to continue to do better. Besides my initial and my passion and my goal to give my babies more and to give families and community more. So I just want to commend you for all that you do.
Oh, thank you so much for that, Queen. Because I, since we've been like following each other and stuff, I definitely will say you took the ground running from what I could see, and now like you're out and about, like you in the community. Like ironically, we both had something to do on Saturday, and so I was
I seen that. I did. Here's some real quick side note. When I seen that, I seen one of the it's upstairs in my room, in my office actually. I seen one of the business cards. I think it was like a music therapist or something.
yes,
Or
yes.
maybe I seen her card. So when I seen the table, I messaged you and I was like, "Wait, you were there?" And I was like, "How did I miss you?" And then I'm gonna be honest, I took the message off when I went back to the video and seen, okay, it wasn't the same location, but I was like, I'm yay.
Yeah,
But yes,
yeah. Like
it's
we
so
was just
crazy that we were at
we
different
was
events that
busy on
day.
Saturday. I have another
Yes,
event this Saturday. I'm on a panel. And so yeah, normally April is like my busiest month. And what I do.
yes,
So it makes sense. But I also like I used to do, and it's not that I'm stopping it, but I used to do an autism moms night out. Like that was my gift back to the moms in the community. And so, and I shared this on our podcast before. One of the it was a autism mom. She had asked me. She was like, "Well, why do you do this if you're not an autism mom? Like, why are you doing it?" And I was like, because one, I work with the mothers. I've watched mothers sit at the table and get a diagnosis and be in all different types of emotions and all different, be in denial and be in in acceptance and be like, okay, that's what I was seeing. I just didn't know what to, how to help my child or what to do for my child. I've watched moms cry at the table and everybody else just leave her there. The whole team just get up and walk away and she's still sitting there
yeah,
crying. And I'm like, I can't leave her at this table like that. So I was like, so I scooted over, you could cry
yeah,
on like I've watched all that. And so and then even when I was looking for something to do with under advocate for me for the month of April, I was gonna do something for the kids. I really was. And then I went on Eventbrite and it was like this thing for the kids and this thing for the kids and this thing. I said, well, wait a minute. I said, well, if the mom is taking all the kids to all these events, what they gonna do with themselves? And so that's kind of how I spend, like, to do the self-care piece for the parents, because I was like, well, who helping them? And who's going to get them to what they need, and how they going to take care of themselves? And so, and I knew how that felt, just with me being with, my own children. And I was like, all right, so we're going to do an autism mom's night out. And so this would have made our sixth one. Yeah, because we're going into our 7th year in June. This is
Nice.
our 6th one. But I actually did a spinoff because after that mother asked me that question, I said, well, wait a minute. I was like, with my son's diagnosis with ADHD, I was like, we go through similar stuff. I was like, so,
Yes.
and then I was like, well, God, like, what you want me to name it? Because I was like, and he was like, I already gave you a name. And I was like, I had started this Facebook group like years ago, but I never used it. And he was like, hello, Moms Thrive On. And I was like, oh, that's what you want me to call it? And I was like, and so now I'm pushing that community group. We had our first monthly meeting in March. We were supposed to do one in April, but I had these other engagements. So we're going to do another one right after Mother's Day. But now it's like a whole thing now. Like, we're working on an anthology book. And so we're looking for moms that want to share their journey and their story with the world. I keep saying with the world only because of, what was said last week from RF Kennedy. I feel like now is the time for us to have that voice, so they can hear from moms. Um Neurodivergent moms, moms that's caring for their neurodivergent children in general, because
Absolutely.
people have this one conception, and I'm not saying that everyone's journey is the same. So, because there are some children who may be going through those things, but it's not all of them. And for you to lump all of them in one thing and say, well, this child will never be able to do this, and this child will never be able to. I was listening to that thing, and the more he said never, the more I kept getting fired up and writing notes, and I was like, oh no.
It was so it's it's moments of that where it just reminds you of why you do what you do,
Exactly.
right?
Mhm.
And it reminds you of the passion that you have, the drive that you have, and yet again who you do it for,
Mhm.
right? And the genuine passion of yet again why you do it is different when you're not aware.
Mhm.
It's different when it's not something that's genuine. Is that's you can tell the difference between genuine people in this
Right.
field and people who aren't,
Right.
right? And I appreciate your statement when you said like I took off from the ground running, and I did. I am one of those people where once I have an idea in my head,
Mhm.
I set everything up to make it happen.
Mhm.
Prime example, if I could share what's about to come about with
Yeah, go
the
ahead.
foundation.
Mhm.
So this up and coming Sunday is my first annual workshop. So I'm going to be doing a monthly workshop so the families can come out. This one is going to be a meet and greet. I know the families are used to whoever who hasn't worked with me yet are used to seeing my face on live, seeing my stories, but I want them to actually be in my presence.
Wow.
So it's an open invitation. Anybody who can come, bring the babies. I said they can come. I'm going to have some coloring activities for them. It's going to be light refreshments for them, and we're just going to have a great time. So this is going to be monthly. This is the first one for April, obviously because Autism Awareness Month. So I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that I kicked it off in April.
Yeah.
So the address of the location is 441 High Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 19144. And we're just gonna have a great time. And it starts at 2 p.m. So that's for the month of April.
Mhm.
I have a children's book that's coming out. The title of the children's book is called Autistic Adventures, and it's based after my youngest daughter. It's actually dedicated to her. And the book is to show, especially the younger generation,
Mhm.
that is nothing wrong with them. Their uniqueness that they have is actually very special,
Mhm.
and it gives them their superpower and the strength.
Yes.
So the book is based off of like her going into her first day of school,
Mhm.
and it's the morning routine, and it's me helping her through the morning routine for her sensory needs that she needs, to brushing her teeth, and how I help her through that sensory need. We walk through the park, and sensory needs of her needing her headphones, and her acknowledging and me acknowledging she needs it, to her going to school, her stimming and spinning in circles, and how her teacher gets to her level and helps calm her down, and vice versa.
Yeah.
But I will give a tidbit. At the end of the story, she says, "My name is Araya and I'm unique, and that's okay."
Oh, yeah.
So that's the end of it, and it's going to be
Mhm.
like a picture of her looking out the school window with her smiling. So
Oh,
that's what's coming up. I'm in the final leg of the illustrations, so I'm completely excited about that. That's going to be available on all platforms, so Amazon, Kindle, Apple Book, Walmart, Barnes and Nobles. So I'm very, very excited for that.
Mhm.
Um, and then for the month of May, I'm going to have the workshop for the moms, like you said, to get out, to be able to have time where you're still a mommy when your babies aren't around you, but it's a different type of comfort that I want to be able to offer them. Where if they want to have a little Moscato, they can have a little pink Moscato
Yeah.
and a little what's that, charcuterie board or whatever board, they'll have that. Okay, so it's just gonna be nice for the moms, and then June will be for the dads, and then also like back to school. I am in contact with barbers, and I'm in contact with a hairdresser who's gonna do like the nail polish for the girls, a barber for haircuts, and like for the back to school. So my mindset is never on this moment. I'm always thinking ahead.
Yeah.
And I'm about to finalize a vending machine as well that's going to be connected with the foundation.
Oh,
But I'll tell you more detail about that later.
yes, awesome. Look, when I tell you Jessica is moving and shaking and like I love it. I love it. Like that's why I said God don't make mistakes. Like the fact that, my former coworker mentioned me like, "Oh, I know, this person." And so and we DM'd each other, and ever since then, like, so I always I always say God put you in my life for a reason. And so now whatever God got planned for the both of us, we gonna make it work. We
It's
gonna
there. We're going to make it work. We're going to make it work.
so
Yes, indeed.
yes, I'm definitely grateful that you wasn't hesitant, you was obedient, and what God telling you, okay, go, reach out to her, do what you gotta do. Like not even knowing that you were following me before, and getting some insight and stuff. So whatever you need me to do, Queen, reach out, let me know.
Well, thank you.
Let
I
me know when
appreciate
the
it.
book launch is, because I will definitely be
I
there.
will definitely let you know what it is. I am
Excited.
so excited. I'm
Yeah,
so excited.
I love that. Because I have my book, What About Me? And so it's kind of something like with the character's name is David, and he's going to school for the first time. And so
Hmm.
and that was me coming from that early intervention where I was like, I wanted them to see themselves. Um,
Yes.
and so the illustrator, I was like, I need you to be as detailed as possible, because some of my babies not going to be able to communicate with me when I bring
Yes.
this book to them, but I want them to be able to see the pictures and be able to see themselves through the pictures.
Yes.
And
And
so
that's what
I'm
I
telling
said.
you, yeah,
I understand.
yeah,
I was like, I don't want the book to have the writing on one side and
mm,
then the picture on the other side. I said no, I want it to blend because I want the full both page to be the illustrations. Because at the end of the day, a lot, like you said, a lot of children on the spectrum are nonverbal,
mhm,
and I wanted to make sure that obviously if they couldn't grasp by what the teacher, their
mhm,
parent was reading to them, they can make up their own story themselves by just the illustration that they
Yeah.
see. And
Yeah.
I wanted it to be vibrant, and
Mhm.
I wanted it to just fill up the page.
Yes.
So that's what I made sure. So that's why, honestly, is longer than what I expected, to be quite honest with you, but I've been so direct when I had to submit the approvals for the illustration. And like I said, it's based off of my relationship with my youngest.
Yeah.
So I know that sh- she can't look directly like her, but she really does. Wait till you see, and I'm gonna show you when we get off.
Wow.
She looks just like my daughter.
Wow.
And the mom, she favors me, but the main character is my daughter. So I just excited about the process, but I was like, no, we're not doing that. That don't look right. I'm like, redo that. I'm like, no, I need her bedroom to be bright. I need it to look like it's actually a kid's
Exactly.
room. I don't want like have an art picture that's not stick figures.
Mhm.
Like
Yes.
I've been telling back and forth. I'm like, no, this ain't working. Her eyebrow ain't there. Like
Yeah.
literally, I'm like, that's not how her hair be. I have bows in her hair. You gotta have the like
Yeah.
all the detail in it. And I'm like, I'm not approving this until
Yeah.
it's there. And it's been times, I'm gonna be honest with you, with the book that I was like, I gotta find that publisher. They aren't grasping what I'm saying. Where we been went back and forth. I was like, no, this contract can be over. I'm gonna go somewhere else. But it's just, I will say that they, once we have the verbal conversations,
Mhm.
then it's fine.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just can't do a lot of emails. You need to be
Yeah.
able to have the verbal conversation. So I always say, after I seen that last time, I was like, yeah, we need to do a weekly verbal conversation.
Mhm. Yeah.
You can email me all you want to, but a verbal conversation.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's how that went. But I'm
Yeah.
so ecstatic.
Yes, I'm so excited for you. So our last question that I always ask our guests is kind of like a threefold question.
Okay.
So well you actually answered one of them, like what was the next step? So you actually answered one already. So the other two are one, if you can leave anything for the audience, a quote, a scripture, anything that's on your heart that you want to share with the audience. And then the second thing is how they can contact you.
Okay. So the quote I want to share, encouragement I want to share is never be afraid to use your voice.
Mhm.
Your voice is the strongest tool that you will ever have concerning your student, concerning your loved one, concerning your child. Never be afraid to use your voice.
Mhm.
So that will be my encouragement. And far as how you can reach me, my Instagram is at 4BrightStars. Facebook is 4BrightStars as well. And my website, I am so ecstatic because it is officially going live on Sunday. I've connected it with the workshop. It is www dot sorry 4brightstars.org. So once again, it's www.4brightstars.org.
Awesome. I'm so excited for you. Like I said, whenever, whatever you need, I'm here. DMing, texting, emailing, calling, like whatever you need, I'm definitely here.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate it. And
Yeah.
that's one thing too. I just love how you engage with
Mhm.
other individuals, the support that you give with other organizations. Like you don't gatekeep. And
Mm-mm.
I truly love that about you. And that's what, I'm the same way. Like that's why I was showing all the other organizations on Saturday because it wasn't just about me. At the end of the day, we all have a spot when it comes to this. And there's room for everybody
That
because
part
what you offer,
right
your
there.
technique, how you bring, that's great. And it works for your families that you have been able to work with and connect with.
Mhm.
And what I bring, it works for the families that I've been able to connect with and work with. And it's okay. So I love the fact that we both were able to connect and nobody was worried about, oh, she doing this. Oh, she write IEPs. I write IEPs too. What's going on here?
Mhm.
It wasn't any of that.
Like it's
It
about
wasn't any of
IEP
that.
for everybody. You get IEP, you
Yes.
get IEP.
There you go. It's nothing wrong with it. It's all good.
Like you said, it's just like so they use this scenario at our school, like uh, I give you the chicken and you decide what you want to do with it. Like you can make barbecue chicken, you can make teriyaki chicken, you could. So we all have our own spin on all our organizations, and it's enough families out here for everybody to assist and help, and
Yes.
we all do it in different ways. Like you go, you advocate at the table, you teach them, to have their voice in the beginning. I'm coming in the back end, like, yo, you need this self care, you need this, like you need some
Yes.
care, like, and so we all can just all work together. I love the fact that was my main goal for the magazine, like to bring all the organizations in. And I appreciate you, joining in. She'll be in our issue coming up for this month, for April and
Yay.
May. So, like, just being part of that to send out the resources, because I finally figured out, like, I'm only one person, and especially when I went back to work in the school system, I can't answer my phone if I'm teaching my small group. So I was like, I
Mhm.
have to find another outlet for the families to be able to have these resources. And just,
Yeah.
my mentor was like, I was actually in her magazine. And then she was like, I think this would be good for you. And I was like, really? I was like, so never in my wildest dreams, one, did I think I would be an author, and let alone an editor in chief of a magazine. But here we are. Like,
Here you are.
yes,
Look at that. Like
yes,
seriously, here you
yes,
are.
yes.
I
So
didn't think it. I didn't think it either. I didn't think that I would be an author, and my family is so proud of me. I was out with my cousins last week. They were like, "Do you know who we have at the table? We have our very own Arthur." And I'm like, "Oh my God, don't put that on me like that."
that's
I'll
the
be like,
beginning, Jessica. People going to, if they haven't already, they're gonna start calling you an expert. I remember the very first I went to an event and I went to go speak, and the lady was like, "And she's an expert," and I was like, "Who an expert?" And I was like, "She was
it's so funny you said it because that's what happened on the panel on Saturday. When he introduced me, he said, we have our very own expert here who is a mom of four and she's an advocate. And I was like, wait, who else is a mom of four? Like, I really looked down because I was like, who? Because you want to know why? I don't take what I do lightly,
exactly."
and I'm not an individual who do it for accolades and titles, right? So when people say things to me, I receive it, but it's not something that I then be like, "Oh, that's
Yeah.
belt notch." It's not
Mhm.
it's not that for me, So when it's said to me, I get very boastful. I get very boastful is not the right word. I get very shy.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
I just be
Mhm.
like, and then not like, oh, it's not true or it can't be true. It's just more so of like, I don't want the spotlight on me. Put the
Yeah.
spotlight on there. Like I get kind of like, and yet again, not because I don't know what I bring and what I do and how I operate. It's just is not for me.
Mhm.
I'm just the mouthpiece. I'm just the face
Mhm.
behind the scene that's doing everything. But it's not about me.
Exactly.
So
You're the
that's where I'm like,
You're the vessel. Like,
yeah,
I always ask God, like, allow me to be the vessel, so that you can use me, so that I can use my gifts that you bless me with. And so
absolutely.
I would definitely say that God is making you use your gifts. Like I said, like you wouldn't have known that this would be a part of your journey, but you know that it's needed. And so that you're moving forward and going forth with the vision that he gave you. So keep rocking and rolling, sis.
Thank you
Keep
so
doing
much.
what you need to do. Um,
I appreciate it.
I'm excited for you. So excited for you. Because I know how it is for that first book. Like, you be like, oh, okay. But when I tell you that, you thought you was busy last weekend, yeah, it's coming. It's coming. It's definitely coming.
I'm so ecstatic. I really am.
Um,
I can't wait, like I said, to show you the cover. It's
yeah.
just I'm so ecstatic.
Yeah, and you'll be surprised. Like on Saturday when I went to the to the event, I walked in. I was late because I had to do the respite care, but I walked in and somebody walked up to me and was like, "Oh my gosh, hi, how are you?" And I was just like, "Hi," and I was like, "How are you?" And she was like, and then I guess she had to like realize what she was. She was like, "Oh, I follow you on Instagram, and I love what you're doing." And then I looked, and I was like, "Oh wait, I follow you too." And it was just like meeting a celebrity. It was like, "Hey, hey!" Like
No, it's really how it is though. Like you
Yeah.
do, you be like, I know you, girl, or be like, oh yeah, and that's how it was the
Mhm.
whole time. Cause the guy who was responsible for putting everything together on behalf of the Philadelphia Sheriff's Department, we actually work in the same building.
Oh,
So when we seen each other finally, it was like, hey, you would have thought that we already seen each other, already knew each other, but it's like how me and you, we
mhm.
just met through Instagram.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until he did the invite to me and it said Philadelphia Sheriff's Department. I was like, y'all work in my building I work at. And I was like, do you work in this building? And he's like, yeah. I was like, we work in the same building. So it was so funny, but that's how it is though. Like you see each other, especially when you follow and you engage in on social media, and then when you see each other in person, and be like, "Hey, what's going
Yeah.
on?" And it'd be like a whole show, and then other people be looking like, "Are they okay?"
Yeah,
And
that's
it's like,
my mom
no,
was looking. My mom was like, you know that? I was like, yeah, we follow each other.
yes, literally, that's how it was. I was like, "Oh no, everything's fine." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Everything's fine. We know each other. We know each other."
Yeah, but I love that for us because those social media platforms, it can get such a negative impact about other stuff that when we
Yeah.
come together like that, I just love it. Like I have people in Ohio, moms in Texas, and I just met somebody on Australia that we had here on our podcast.
Nice.
Yes, and one of the moms, she's from Tanzania, Africa, but she's actually here
Oh,
in the States. Like she's in Seattle, Washington right now doing research on an organization. And so they're assisting her so that she can take back, information back to Africa. Like I keep telling her, I even said it on my last podcast that I'm trying to get to Africa so I can come and help support her with what she's doing. So like you said, I don't gatekeep, but one of my goals is to make sure that we have that connection where all the organizations is assisting each other. Like if I had to,
yeah.
be an octopus and have 8 hands trying to, get to everybody.
It's the truth because no matter what, the end goal is to support these babies. The
Exactly.
end goals is to support the individuals that we are here to advocate for.
Exactly.
Yet again, whether it's the parents, the baby, the community as a whole,
Mhm.
that is the end goal.
Yes, yes, yes. So I'm not going to keep you because I know you got to get to the family, but thank you so much for coming on
Thank
the
you so much
advocate.
for having
You're
me. I really
welcome.
appreciate it.
Yes, I'm glad we was able to connect. So thank you for coming on. And to our audience, always remember, like Jessica said, you have a voice. I always tell you guys to make sure that you're, moving forward in the goal for your child and making sure that the goal is to have the needs and the support that your child needs in their journey. So, until next time, be blessed. Peace and blessings.